Hey everybody, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to European Truck Simulator 2, and welcome back to Southampton. We're going to pick up a load of peanut butter, and we're going to take it to Cardiff, and we're going to talk about gaming and all that entails. My headset turned down a little bit. Beautiful, lights is on, brakes is off, all right, lift axle is up, here we go. Let's see if we can make it through this video without wadding it up. You know what I'm saying? Without driving the wrong way. I haven't done it so far, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. All right, so we're good over there. We're good over there. All right, here we go. So how's everybody doing? It's Sunday for me. It's Sunday for you. I'm running late. This video is probably going to be about an hour later than it ought to be, than it typically would be. I record a lot in I wouldn't say like the straight up morning, not like 5 or 6 a.m. I record around 10 or 11 a.m. and then I render, and that happens during the rest of the day, and then I upload, I preview, and then the following morning I make the video live. Well, I'm running late today. I'm running really late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record this today, then I'm going to render it today, then I'm going to upload it today, and hopefully it's not too awful late. I try to post at straight up noon every day, or at least make videos public at noon every day. And I think this one is going to be closer to 1 p.m. So I do apologize, but you know what? These things happen. So let me tell you what happened. Let me lay it out for you. Let me tell you what happened. I did take a day off. It's a holiday weekend, you know. But I wanted to, I've seen a couple of bus mods. I've seen some threads about buses for ETS2, and we're going to go, okay, we're going to go around and over, and then we're going to take this right. All right, so we do have to go around this thing, like so, and then we'll take the right into the UPS depot. Don't hit the cop. Turn your head. This is tricky. It is trickier than it looks. So I did take a day off, and I had wanted to, I know I've seen some rumors about bringing buses into ETS2. They say it's going to happen. I don't know if SCS is ever going to do that. I wouldn't mind trying it. And let's get down to neutral here. We'll set the brake. And it is dark, by the way, but it's going to be light. By the time we get loaded up and get rolling, it's going to be nearly daylight. So we won't be doing an episode in the dark. Right, so there's our peanut butter. It's not peanut butter. It's sausages. Well, that makes more sense in a reefer. Peanut butter. That's going somewhere else. So we'll take these to the west. All right. So let's get loaded up. I know there are some other bus simulators. And in fact, I'm going to tell you about a couple of them right now. And do we have our lights on? We do not. Now we do. God. Should we stop? Would it be better to just stop? No, we will not stop. All right, so yeah, they're supposed to bring buses in, and I would like to see that because there are some other bus simulators, but all of them have, to my, I don't know, to my sensibilities, all of them have like one glaring defect. So there's Omzibus. Omzibus is fantastic in terms of like a raw simulator experience, but the graphics are, I don't know. And the passengers are unnerving. It's, oh man, it looks like the mid 90s, early 2000s when you see those passengers with the creepy face just kind of wrapped around a cylinder. Yeah. But it's a great sim and people love it. It's just, it's missing something. And there's a couple other ones. I downloaded Fernbus. Now Fernbus really had an appeal for me because it is driving from city to city, and rather than driving around in a city, you're driving from a city to another city, and I really like that, sort of what we do in ETS. I think we got that in there straight on the first try. Holy smokes. All right, lights off, set the brake, engine off, let's load up. Now, Fernbus, the problem that I had, I bought it yesterday. I bought it yesterday evening. And the problem that I had with it was I couldn't get it running. It wasn't that I couldn't keep it running. I couldn't even get it running. I was getting Unreal crashes. And I looked and looked. I found a bunch of threads. Mostly what I found was the developers saying verify your game files. And I get that. I get that in the same way that when you call tech support, they have to say, is it plugged in? Is the power on? They have to say that because there needs to be a jumping off point. You can't just immediately go to like high level problem solving and none of those things are working and then it turns out, oh, it was unplugged, right? That does happen. So hang on, I think we might have to go third person here. Yeah, can't quite pivot my head around and I don't have my co-driver with me. So we'll go this way. All right, over here, beautiful. So I get that. I get that there needs to be a starting point, and the starting point is very often the simplest thing, as it ought to be, right? So verify your game files. Are your drivers up to date? Does Windows need to update? I get all that. I really, really do. At the same time, that is such an infuriating bullshit answer, and as consumers, we know that. So it's in a gray area, a very gray area. It does have to be part of the process, but it's too easy to abuse it. It's too easy for tech support or a developer or whatever, a person who fixes those sorts of problems, to just kind of fall back on that. And essentially what they're doing is they're saying it's your fault. Is your system up to spec? Do you have an adequate machine to run this game? Post your system specs. And that's something you see fanboys screeching about all the time. You say that their favorite game or sim has a problem, and their response immediately is post your system specs or you're lying. Yeah, man, you got me. That's what I do. I prowl around on Reddit. I prowl around on tech support threads for games, and I just say that I'm having a problem that a lot of other people are having, but really I'm not, and I can't post my crash log because I don't have one. The game runs fine. I just came here to troll. Although, in a strange enough way, there is probably some very strange person who does that. But regardless, what was I talking about? Oh, right. So Fernbus. Yeah, so the game will not even start. I'm getting an Unreal crash, and I was concerned because I do have all my motorcycle sims run on Unreal. Train Sim World 2 runs on Unreal. Set of Corsa Competizione runs on Unreal. Some of my favorite sims run on Unreal. And I was very concerned, like, oh God, something's broken now, and my sims that I play a lot, that I spend a lot of time in, they're all going to get this same crash error. Well, all of them work fine. So it is an Unreal error. It is related to Fernbus, and I found a lot of threads. I try to be positive on the channel, you know that, and I try to give people and developers the benefit of a doubt, and I am more than happy to acknowledge that designing a game, building a game, and keeping a game running is a monumental task, particularly for a small independent studio like, is it TML or TLM? The developer of Fernbus, relatively small developer, independent sized developer. It's tricky, and it really is. And the thing is, you've got so many moving pieces. When Windows updates, it can break Unreal. And so Unreal, Epic, has to fix that, but they can't push that out directly to you. All they can do is build that fix and then push it out to any developer that is using Unreal as the engine for their game. And then that developer has to incorporate the changes into a patch and then push that patch back to you via Steam or Epic or whatever. And it's a really tricky process, and it's like none of those entities are necessarily in close communication with each other. And Microsoft particularly, Microsoft just does what it wants. It's not like Microsoft is calling Epic to say, hey, we're thinking of some changes for Windows in this next XP, that's been a minute. We're thinking of some changes. It's probably going to break Unreal. How do you feel about that? Well, of course, Epic is going to say, we don't like it. But, Microsoft isn't making that call. They are not reaching out to Epic or anybody else. Maybe a massive organization like Facebook. Certainly not Google because they don't really care about Chrome. They want you to use Edge. But you get what I'm saying. Microsoft doesn't care. They do what they need to do to keep Windows. Years ago, I would have said to keep Windows running. But since Windows has become a data gathering tool, I don't think they really care how well Windows runs. They just care how efficiently it harvests your data. That is a rant for another day. Regardless, that's what Microsoft is focused on. And if their fix for Windows breaks your app or engine or whatever, you know what? Sort that out. Fix that yourself. And that's what companies like Epic / Unreal try to do. And then they push that out to developers, and developers need to do what they do, and it just all trickles down. And some developers, I think, unfortunately, can't. Now, some developers, I think, really don't even want to. And there are plenty of kind of in-your-face abandoned games. I don't know if Fernbus falls into that category. I've had it downloaded for less than 2 hours. I got a refund for it. I never did get it running. But there are plenty of developers that are like, yeah, we're not, Dovetail, perfect example. Train Sim World 2020 was never finished, and they've already moved on to Train Sim World 2. Hey, thanks for the $400. Bye. It happens. It does. And that's a risk we take as gamers. Sometimes it works out. Actually, most of the time it works out. Sometimes it does not. So, I could not find a decent bus simulator that I could get working. Well, I was up till like 4 o'clock in the morning that I could get working yesterday. I did try, I think, all of them, and all of them have something good about them, but for me, all of them have something game-breaking about them. No, that's not the right word. It's not game-breaking. It's experience-breaking. Plenty of them work just fine. The game is not broken. I apologize for using that term. That's the wrong use of that phrase. The games are not broken. They just don't work for me and the way that I game. All right, that's fair enough. But I did try all of them. And, I definitely get the appeal of OMSI 2. I get the appeal of OMSI 2 in the same way I get the appeal of the Train Simulator franchise, not TSW, but the actual Train Simulator franchise. I will say out loud, straight up, I think the Train Simulator franchise does not look good. And I don't think it ever really did look good, even when it was new years ago. However, you can say the same thing about the sim that we're in right now, and particularly the part of the world that we're in right now, because this is an older map. And it really does not look great compared to other 2020 games. Now, Truck Sim, ETS or ATS, has never been what anybody would describe as a AAA title. So they get a bit of a pass. But you know what I mean. There are people that would get in a game like this and just say, no, and immediately uninstall it. And that's how I feel about the Train Simulator franchise. That's how I feel about OMSI Bus. But I recognize that everybody, we're all completely subjective. We draw the line wherever we want. We're all hypocrites. I get it. I play this game that does not look great, and I love it. But then I look at a game like OMSI and say, no, I can't play that. It doesn't look great. But the simulation aspect of it is very, very strong, and that's what people love about it. So good on them, man. It didn't work for me. Well, it worked. It started. It just didn't work for me as a sim. And then Fernbus, I never did get running. And there's also Tour Bus Driver, also by TLM. It's one of the two. It starts with a T, and then it has 2 other letters. But whoever developed Fernbus also developed Tour Bus Driver, and that's almost like early access. It's full retail. But that to me has the feel of an early access game. So never did find anything. But then I thought, there are some buses for ETS. And we'll just fudge a little bit. It's not going to be like the whole experience. I just want to drive a bus. Which, honestly, there's no difference between driving a bus and driving a truck as far as what we're looking at right now. Carefully. I think the majority of the cockpits in those are actually just lifted straight out of these trucks. So our view would be virtually identical, except we'd have a door right there. Well, a different kind of door. You know what I mean. So I tried several of those, and they were all Brazilian for one thing. and it wasn't working. It wasn't working. So I gave up on that, and I just fired up this truck, and I noticed that, well, when I was logging into the game, I noticed that my engine packs were missing. My Rabbinicus engine packs were missing. And in the words of Lou Marini, no, man, those lights are off on purpose. All the engine packs, all the Rabbinicus engine packs that I love so much were gone from the Steam Workshop. So I did a little bit of research, and I'm going to be very careful now because we're not talking about a developer anymore. We're talking about a human being. And people, I try to respect everything and everybody, but I particularly try to respect people, right? A game developer, the people there have feelings, but the game developer itself doesn't necessarily. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have the feels, but a person does. So I can talk smack about Epic Game Store, I can talk smack about Dovetail, but those aren't people, right? Those are entities, and it's a little bit different. Rabbinicus, as far as I know, is a person, and I found a thread, and they said, yep, got tired of people stealing my mods, so I made them all for friends only. And I thought about that. I woke up very early this morning. I only slept a couple hours. I made myself a cup of coffee, and I read through there a few times, and I thought about it, and this is one of those situations where I think everybody's right and everybody's wrong at the same time. So I will freely admit that I have downloaded mods from dodgy mod sites. I do it much less than I used to when I got back into gaming. When I got back into gaming 3 years ago now and got into modding for Farm Sim and Truck Sim and various, I was just happy to be able to find mods. And you do get that little burst of dopamine, when you see something. Now, some people list them, like in a YouTube video, they post a mod list or Farm Sim or whatever. They post a mod list and you just click the link and download it. And of course, we have the workshop for Truck Sims. We have the mod hub for Farm Sim. So you can easily download like 100% legit mods that are not stolen or whatever. For the most part, not stolen. A few things slip through, but for the most part. So you can do that. And that's, you get a good feeling. But if there's no link posted, or if you can't find it in those reputable places and you need to go hunting a little bit, there is definitely a little burst of dopamine when you find that mod. You are hunting and gathering, and it feels good. And I wasn't super particular about where I found my mods. Past tense. In the past, I was not super particular about where I found my mods. I am very particular now. And in fact, I like and I support and I try to send business, for lack of a better word, business, traffic, whatever. I try to send traffic to places like Simply Safe Mods. FSUK is gone now, but the idea that there's a site that vets the mod for you and determines its provenance, and you know what I mean? That's nice. It's nice to be able to do it the right way. It's what I like about the workshop. So I try to do that. Occasionally, every now and then, I will end up with a mod that's a little dodgy from a dodgy mod site. But for the most part, I try to stay away from that. Now, you could say, letter of the law, spirit of the law. Well, that's like saying, wow, I only killed one person. For the most part, I don't murder people. And that makes me okay. Well, no, it doesn't. If you've killed somebody, you're a murderer. BT dubs. I've never killed anybody. It's strictly an example. But you know what I mean. If you've stolen a mod, you're a mod thief. If you've downloaded a mod from a dodgy mod site, you've done that, and you can't, you can say, I don't do it anymore. You can say, I realize it's wrong, but you did it. You are part of the problem, and you will always be part of the problem. So for me to say, I don't do it often, or I do it as little as possible now, yeah, I will admit it. I occasionally download from a dodgy mod site. I am part of the problem. And in that way, Rabbinicus is completely right to pull his mods and say these are friends only now, because I got tired of people stealing them, editing them, doing various things. You are right, and I am wrong, and what you did is my fault. I didn't personally download any of the Rabbinicus engine packs from a dodgy site, but I've downloaded other mods, and like I said, if you did one, you've done them all, right? That's there's a goat joke in there. I don't know if you've ever heard it. There's many variations on it, but basically, if you've ever had sex with a goat, you own that for the rest of your life. You can't say it just happened the one time and then you're off the hook. Nah, you got to own that forever. So I may not have taken their mods, but I've taken mods. That makes me part of the problem. At the same time, if you're a modder and you put something out there, you got to be an idiot to think it's not going to get stolen and passed around. And one of the arguments that I saw was, well, yeah, this community doesn't do it, and they named a community. Okay, well, again, that's like saying, I go hang out with these people, and I got to keep my hand on my wallet. I don't trust them as far as I can see them. But when I hang out with those, other group, I don't worry at all. Well, okay, yeah, that's how the world works. To say that this group doesn't do it, therefore no other group should do it, it doesn't make any sense. Technically, no group should do it ever. So, why does one group get to put that kind of pressure on another group to do something that they obviously do? There was a lot of ins and outs in there, a lot of curves in that statement, but you see what I'm getting at. So that's great that other community is very respectful of mods, but the truck community, and even worse, the farm community, farm sim community, they're not. They'll rob you blind, man. And if you post a mod, you've got to know that people are going to steal it, mod it, change it, edit it, trade it around, post it as their own work, try to get little pennies per download for it. You got to know that, and you can't be upset when people do it. I'm going to take my Colnago to a bad neighborhood with $100 bills wrapped around the handlebars, and then I'm going to be all surprised when somebody steals it. No, of course not. It's a $7,000 bicycle. Of course somebody's going to steal it. What are you, nuts? So in that way, Rabbinicus is completely wrong. And to clarify, I've never met the cat. I have no idea, and I'm not like calling them out or anything. I'm saying everybody's right in this situation and everybody's wrong. Essentially, it's an impossible dynamic, and there's really no way to resolve it. It's like music. Music is essentially free now. Movies are essentially free now, and it's wrong that what put that all in motion was people stealing, but steal they did. And so the model has evolved, and you have things like Netflix, where it's $8 a month or $12 a month or whatever it is for unlimited movies and TV shows. Because Netflix figured out, well, if we don't put these up there for an extremely reasonable price, I pay $15 for a single movie ticket in a theater. Think I'm not going to pay $15 a month for unlimited movies that I can watch with somebody else? Right? Because if you go to a movie with somebody else, they're paying $15 too, so that's $30. So companies like that figure it out, right? People like Lars, you know who Lars is. People like Lars, they fight it tooth and nail, Should have been Lars, not Cliffy. Yeah. So smart companies, smart people accept reality for what it is, and they get out in front of it. And they just, they accept it for what it is. So, you know what I did? Rather than going through all my trucks individually and sorting out the engines, I just went to a dodgy mod site and downloaded all the Rabbinicus engine packs that are now gone from the workshop. And the reason I did that is, in that thread where people were saying, oh man, you're really jamming me up here, you're accomplishing nothing. You're making a statement, and sometimes that's a very valid thing to do, but in a practical sense, you're not accomplishing anything. You're just inconveniencing a lot of people. Well, yeah, somebody said, okay, fine then, I'll steal them. I didn't steal them. I was getting them from the Steam Workshop, but now I'm going to steal them because I don't want to have to redo all my trucks. And that's what I did for both ETS and ATS. So that's, that's how that goes. Carefully right through here. There we are. And it's not, I don't feel justified in doing that. I didn't do the right thing. I did the wrong thing. But I did it because my time is limited. And this person, in my opinion, handled it the wrong way. I mean, even a couple weeks notice. Just to say, hey, you know, I am going to pull these mods. Go ahead and swap all your trucks back to stock engines. You'll even get a little refund when you do that. And then later you can find another engine pack and do that on your own. But I'm going to pull these from the Steam store in a couple weeks. That's the, I don't know, I guess the adult way to handle it. But it's like, there's a book. There's a book in the United States right now. Well, it's already been released. There was a book, and carefully, there was a book and there was a court battle. Should this book be released? Should it not be released? And what the judge finally said is, it's already available online. Therefore, there's no reason not to release it, because it is de facto released. And I guess it's the same way with mods. You know, once you put a mod out there, it is out of your hands. Once you put a movie out for digital delivery, digital content delivery, it's out there. Somebody has grabbed it with their TiVo or whatever, and they ripped it, right? Once you put it on a Blu-ray, it's out there. Smart companies figure out a way to make money from that, and other companies just, you know, I've had Windows Media Player, not recently, but back in the day. I've had Windows Media Player not play music that I own because there were problems with sorting out the digital rights. I bought it, I own it, and my media player won't play it. Was it Sony that was having problems with that? With games that you bought that you owned on DVD would not play. The system is telling you that you stole it. I did not, sir. And you know, what can you do? Now, this was years ago, and there really was no quick fix. But bottom line is, all you do as a company, all you do when you pull a move like that is you drive people to stealing. And I'm not taking a moral stance on that. I'm just stating a fact. It's not right that we do that. But it is a fact that people will do that. Don't ding me. Don't. And we made it. So I do make a good effort to always download from reputable mod sites or from the Steam Workshop. And I have no excuse on the rare occasions when I don't do that. I know what I'm doing and I know why. So I've got no room to complain or you know, get on a high horse or a soapbox, or a high horse on a soapbox on a pedestal. But it is I don't know, it's just such a new way of doing things that stealing, really breaking the law, is so easy now, so safe, that's just what we do. There was a commercial years ago, anti-piracy commercial, and it was like, would you steal a car? Would you steal a TV set? And people that I knew said, if I knew, carefully concentrating, if I knew that there was absolutely zero chance of me being caught or prosecuted, yeah, I might. I might. And that is, and they're being honest. And I think that's a reasonable assessment of human nature. And there's something else that complicates it. Look at that, 29 minutes. There's something else that complicates it. And that is this. Remember when you were a kid and somebody said, if everybody jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? Right? Oh, what was it? I thought it was up. I got that autism. There's no rhetorical questions when you're autistic. I don't know where you're at on the spectrum. If you're on the spectrum at all, there's no such thing as a rhetorical question. Ask an autistic person a rhetorical question, and you will get a serious answer. Yeah, they are not, yeah, that's my tribe. So the question was, if everybody jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? I was asked that in elementary school several times. doing something I shouldn't have been doing. Everybody else was doing it. Well, if everybody else was jumping off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? And my answer was, yeah. If everybody was jumping off a bridge, you're talking about 100% consensus? If everybody was jumping off a bridge, then yeah, of course I would jump off a bridge. There is clearly a very good reason to jump off this bridge. Maybe we're jumping off for our safety. Maybe we're jumping off, who knows why. But if everybody's doing it, yeah, I am going to do it. Not too bad. Only lost about €300. Okay. So to wrap up, if everybody can steal digital content, you're sort of an idiot if you don't, because you're putting yourself at a disadvantage for no real reason. And so the question from that anti-piracy ad, would you steal a car? Would you steal a TV set? Well, if everybody else was stealing cars, you'd be kind of an idiot not to, because now the people around you have an unfair competitive advantage in this game of life, right? You're putting yourself at a disadvantage for no reason. And I will leave you with this. There's no such thing as absolute morality in this world. Morality is the way that we decide to treat each other when we can. Morality is typically a condition of surplus. People are very nice when they can be. There's no cannibals getting into the lifeboat. You see how many there are 90 days later when they get out of the lifeboat. So I feel bad that I took that engine pack, but at the same time, everybody's doing it, and the person that put it up there knew it was going to happen too. So anyway, first time to the channel, this is what we talk about. It's how we get down here, the Portable Gamer. Thanks for stopping back to check out the channel. See you next time. Take care.